What's up? Big Herc 916. Muscle up. You know we do it over here, man. Nothing but cars. Subscribe, share the channel, represent. I'm gonna take you on a roller coaster ride today with some shady mechanics I dealt with in Scottsdale, Arizona. A claim collector car and transmission. Been around for a long time, and I thought they were the ones to get the job done based on their Yelp reviews. But man, I was very disappointed, especially in the customer service and how they treated me, and the woman there who likes to talk over and talk down when she's dealing with customers. Anyways, it all started off with me taking the wig splitter Porsche, my 1982 928 with a 350 small block, to the shop to have them do work on the transmission. But in the process of getting there, I was dealing with an overheating issue and was dumping antifreeze whenever the car would reach a certain temperature. I had the wrong reservoir on the car, and there wasn't a remote filler, and it just, the person who initially set up that radiator system, it was just all messed up. So that was one of the problems that resulted in the car overheating once I ran the AC. And then the AC wasn't working properly, it wasn't really cooling. So dropped the car off. Right away, they said before they can do any work on the transmission, they have to figure out what's going on with the overheating. So, dealing with the overheating, they came to the conclusion that it needed a reverse water pump. It had the wrong water pump on there. The water pump I had on there initially, it was a different flow of water pump and didn't work with the serpentine system on there, and therefore it was causing the car to overheat. And there was also some shims in there, so they were saying that it should be flushed to the engine, and therefore with the reverse water pump you wouldn't need any shims. They would be correctly connected to the car. So they did that. They did some fabrication so that the alternator, everything basically worked with the serpentine system. They also installed AC condenser, and they said my secondary fan wasn't coming on, so they did some wiring things, right? But the car, before I was using the AC, I actually drove the car after I had the initial shop JML transmissions, along with a guy named Matt, who's a really good tuner. Do the wiring for the Holly Sniper system. It never really had any overheating issues because I drove to LA, but I didn't run the AC, but it drove fine. So the only problem I was dealing with was once the AC came on, I couldn't figure that out. So they went in and they did some stuff because they said the other fan wasn't working, and whatever they did with the wiring, I didn't really know because I never looked underneath there. But I picked the car up 2 weeks later, and I leave, and they say they fix all this stuff. I got a fat ass bill, and I drive the car back to JML because with the transmission they were trying to charge me with way too expensive, like $9,000. I'm like, I'm cool. I called around, I found somebody to do it for $3,000. All I gotta do is get the transmission out of the car. So it's cheaper. I can get the transmission out and just drive it over myself. So anyways, I was able to find somebody to do that. I was going to take it back to my guys, have them take the transmission out. I also had to deal with an intake issue, had a small leak in the intake and the front struts. So I was going to have them do all the little stuff like that. Then I was done with the Porsche. I get it back to JML. I'm driving, running the AC, and as soon as I pull up in the parking lot, the car dies. Yeah, the car died. So I'm like, oh man, you gotta be kidding me, man. I try to start the car, it won't start. Put the jumper box on it, it still won't start. So I just push the car. I'm hot, frustrated. Wait till the next day, get a tow truck, tow it back over to a claim collector car and transmission. Tell them what happened, and they're like, oh, okay, blah, 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 we'll fix it, this and that. So they say that they fix it, they do whatever they do, and the car is there for about a week and a half, and I get the car, I drive it back to JML transmission. The car dies on me again. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. So it dies on me again. So the car dies on me, and I'm like, dude, I'm not gonna deal with it. So once again, the days, like, it's hot as hell out here in Arizona. I leave and then come back in the morning to get a tow truck again. It's the second tow truck. So I get the second tow the car back over there again. The car gets towed over there, gets dropped off, right? And they do some work on the car. And actually, the first time, I didn't actually have to get the car. Did I actually get the car? No, I didn't have to get the car towed. I actually was able to get the car started. But when I got it over there, it died on me in the parking lot. So it died on me in the parking lot. It's the car died on me so many times, I'm confused. Because I know I brought it back 3 times. I had it towed twice, and then I drove it one time and it died on me on the way over there. But anyways, the car, I got it towed over there. I think that was the second time. I'm so confused because it's just, dude, it was so many times the car broke down on me. I towed it over there. They worked on it for about a week. I got the car back, drove it back to JML transmission from a claim, collect the car and transmission, and it, once again, in the parking lot of JML, it died again. This time, I said, you know what? This is like the 3rd time. The first 2 times I had the car towed. The 3rd time, I'm like, I'm not paying for another tow, man. And I called the guy over there at a claim, and I told him, I said, look, man, obviously you guys are missing something. The car won't start. There's something going on. I said, I can have the guy who originally did the wiring come in and figure out what's going on, because there's something's like something's going on with the timing or the ECU system. Something's shutting the car down. It's not operating. It's not driving properly. And it drove, even when it overheated, it always started up, but it only overheated when I had the AC going. So that was the major problem. But anyways, I said, I'm not driving the car back over there, and I'm gonna wait till this guy gets off vacation and see if he can come over and fix the, work on the car. And they're like, well, I don't know if we can have him come to our garage and work on it. I said, well, I can have him come here and work on the car here and get it done here. And I'm gonna give you guys a bill. So, man, that's what I did, man. So here's the footage from me having Matt come over to JML Transmissions in Mesa and fix what these guys did. Now, mind you, these guys said that they didn't cut any wires, right? They said they didn't cut any of these wires. So check this out.
This one wasn't even plugged in right, yeah, so that's probably why the other fan wasn't coming up, but they wired it direct again.
So it wasn't wired direct to begin with, and it wired direct.
They wired it. They cut out everything we did. They bypassed our relays, our fuses, everything.
You can see all the wires cut.
Right here is, I'm recording it too, but right here, Marcus, see where our little fuse is right there? So they cut the power wire going from the fuse to the fans.
There's a 30 amp in there, so.
Yeah.
So in essence, that's why the car was overheating it.
Well, this fan wasn't coming on.
Yeah, one of them wasn't coming on.
Wasn't even plugged in, this one.
And look at the wires they did. This is from your programmer.
So that's cut from the programmer?
This is to trigger the relay.
Yep.
So why is that cut?
Because they eliminated the programmer. Didn't I tell you that? I guarantee.
I knew somebody messed with the program, because I said it didn't seem right. That's why the car was cutting off. Remember it cut off? I told you it kept cutting off over here?
Yeah, it needs to use, that's sending the output for the fans that we're using on that.
Yeah, they eliminated everything we did. They snipped everything.
And I kept asking, like, hey, man, I didn't do anything over there. We didn't mess with it. Yeah, you did, because apparently that's why the car kept overheating. It never had a problem starting. And then I know the guy said he had did something with the programmer to, I think he messed with the timing or something. That's why the timing is off. That's why I think the car is like, when it comes to a certain point, because the transmission had nothing to do with the car cutting off, because it wasn't overheating. It wasn't the transmission.
I mean, you can see here on the ground wire, somebody's been, they cut into it, either to test it or something. But yeah, they eliminate, this is all your wires for your programmer to control your temperature,
Yeah,
your fans,
all that
and
was
everything.
dialed into the programmer. Because
And here's our fuse that we had. The other one they cut out,
Watch your hand.
yeah, so they didn't even.
The power probe.
yeah.
Yeah, John, you want to get a power probe too?
It's fucking ridiculous, man.
Right here.
Yeah, they undid everything that was.
All the white wires, some are caught, some are plugged.
But that's not the junction that the problem was at. It was at this junction. Comes on now. But if this was hooked up correctly, so this is ground, trigger. So if it was hooked up like the way he's saying, this ground trigger, if I put key on power, both fans come on. Not
And both
one.
fans shouldn't come on.
That's correct, because they're on separate relays, so both of them are going through one trigger.
And that was also causing a battery drain why I couldn't start the car.
Yeah, because you're most likely, because this relay was in tandem with this relay, it's staying powered up. The relay, not the fan.
Yeah, the
but
relay.
relays.
The relay staying powered up.
That's correct. So see how there's power coming in of that. So you had power on the other side. So that's why when I power this up, so there's power probe, and then this is a ground trigger. I'm not even, so this one's on that. It's wrong. So I'll fix it.
The wire they left in there was the blue wire.
Yeah, so our power to feeds are still the same.
Good.
You see right here?
Yeah, because that's the way we did it.
Yes.
And you can tell the difference in the way we hooked them up.
See
'Cause
how this wire
everything we're doing is solder and heat shrink to make it look good. Everything they did, butt splices, it just doesn't, it looks nasty this way. It's unprofessional.
So oh, this might be
That might be that wire that hooked up
to feed this.
yeah.
Okay, all right. Well, they cut it. So, all right, we'll figure that out after. That one's probably going out. We'll just have to figure that one. Let's deal with the fans first through the sniper, and then go back to the AC and get it.
They just made a clusterfuck out of everything. You see what I was talking about?
John,
You have those
what would you do
dikes
with the car?
to here. So this comes over, and now it's jumped here. Instead of being two separate wires that are here, here's the second one. So right now it goes to a breaker to feed this breaker. This breaker is feeding this on
One wire.
one wire between the two. This should go to.
Well, excuse me, Mark.
So
You
we can
see
put-
what he's talking about? They took the wire that we had the fuse in going to the relay,
and they
and
Put a jump.
they went to one junction box
to jump to here.
and then took it from here and jumped this one.
So now both of them. So when you turn one brake.
It's
So-
actually a breaker, not
Yeah,
a junction
but-
box, but
right.
a breaker.
So you have two breakers off of this
One
bar.
wire.
Instead of two separate.
Yep.
Correct.
And they were separate to begin
They were separate.
Yeah,
That's
they
why
were,
we
so
put two
that's why there's
relays
the
here.
signal.
with. Yeah.
We had one going to your low speed, and we had one going to the high speed.
So,
This way, when you weren't using the AC and the temperature got up to a certain point, the high speed will kick on and go off at a certain temperature.
Got you.
But they eliminated the relays all except for the
so
blue
what
wires.
I'm gonna do, since we have breakers on here,
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna take this wire, we're gonna put it to here.
Okay.
We'll eliminate this jumper, clean it up. So then this goes up to the alternator to feed, and then this breaker's off the other one. So they're separate.
Okay.
So they're not on the same circuit.
So you want to eliminate the fuse or
Yeah, well, that's fine because these are 40 amp breaker.
40 amps?
So
Okay.
they're fine.
So what do you need?
So I'm gonna just cut this, and then we'll cut this, and we'll solder it. I don't think this. You know what? This is long enough. Let's just put a ring terminal on it.
Okay.
So let's pull these off first. A 10 gauge, single 10 gauge wire.
So you just said you can't run 40 amps through a single 10 gauge, and that's what they're doing.
And then I just need a quarter-inch.
There should be a what?
At least a 6.
Is it quarter inch or 8 millimeter?
They are probably
We're on separate
We're on separate circuits.
breakers.
So those weren't even on tight to begin with.
No, I pulled it by hand. Now it's tight. So they're fusers. They're just self-set reset.
And they're separate when they had them wired together.
That's correct. They were a daisy chain to each
And they should be separate.
Yes, because the gauge of wire was too little to run both
Okay.
circuits. So you can overheat a circuit. So you're powering up both here and then both these and then both fans.
No, man.
So imagine all that amperage going through
One
one gauge
When
or
they
like a
change,
10
when
gauge
they
wire.
change the wire from one break to with a jumper, those things act as 80 amps instead of 40 amps. When you put a jump from one to another.
No, it doesn't dub. Ohm's law. It doesn't jump or immediately double it.
That's
But what
okay.
happens is
So it
you
goes
would
to
get
80 amps.
this becomes no.
No,
it-
go both on 40
No,
again?
they still stay 40 amps on
Okay.
each circuit.
Right.
But because this is on that, you create resistance on the feed line. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So what can happen is it can get
Overload.
hot, it can melt, it could whatever.
Catch on fire.
Right. So it's essentially you're creating like our fusible link, you know, on the old how they used to do the old
Yeah.
alternator wires where they reduce it down.
That's
So
fusible. I got some. You
yeah,
want some?
so that fusible link is designed to burn, and you only burn this
Correct,
much. That, but if you're using it because you're using breakers, you don't do a fusible link and breakers.
Correct.
This is to power up our relays. So now, when the key is turned off, the relays are not powered up. So that way they won't draw, the fans won't come on.
Yeah,
the
that's what
key.
that's what I kept trying to say. Hey, you know, well, we're gonna do it. You said to do it like I'm not a mechanic. Just put it back how it was. That's it.
They shouldn't have messed with the relays. I mean,
They
if a
should-
relay was given out, then there was a reason why the relay was given out. Either the fan was drawing too much amperage, could be shorting internally,
But these are small fans, so
but we had fuses
Right.
linked into before the relay.
Right.
So
if
it would
there
blow
was a
the
problem-
fuse before it messed up the relay.
Well, what I don't understand, if the other fan wasn't coming on, then how was I able to drive the car initially and
Well,
it didn't overheat before I used
when
AC?
you were driving, when you drove it initially, is when we had it hooked up the way it should have been hooked up. When they hooked these fans up with these connectors, somebody didn't plug one in all the way, or they had it the wrong direction, and it came out.
So that's simply when I pulled in here, that's why the car kept cutting off and it was overheating. And the fact that it wasn't connected to the sniper system, so it didn't know how to read.
Didn't know what temperature for the fans to come on or to shut off. So it had no.
So the car
basically made the fans stupid.
And the car went into almost like a limp mode because it didn't want to. It couldn't remember. It didn't want to turn over. It never had that problem.
Still couldn't get it to turn over.
I've never heard an expression.
Yeah, well, instead of coming in. So this is our binary switch coming in. Alright, we'll have to check that because this is not going to. Alright, we'll have to figure it out.
So they disconnect that too.
We're going to solder these.
Yeah, we went and got it down.
Yeah. But that's the sending unit for the gauge.
Yeah.
So we don't have that.
The temperature gauge.
So I didn't even
unless-
pay attention.
Yeah, so we're gonna need to look and see where if they moved it up top or if it's not there. Because we'll have to add the sending unit for that gauge for the gauge to work.
For the
Not so you're gonna have the gauge that works because it's reading from this one on the sniper. You have an additional gauge on there, right? A separate.
Yeah, there's a temp gauge in the dash.
Yeah. So that sending unit, if that's where it was, is no
That's
longer
where it
there.
was, because that's the one you and I put the temp gun on.
And it was too hot.
And it was too hot, and we extended it to get away from the header.
Right. Because it was showing two.
Yeah, it was showing two different temperatures, about I think it was 20 or 30 degrees difference.
Yeah.
This one has a light in it, so.
I haven't tried these yet, but if you want to try them, these are to hold wires together that you can solder.
Look at this. There we go. You have a heat gun or a.
I got a torch.
That'll work. Nice. And it's a solder and it'll heat shrink, so it looks better.
Okay. So we're gonna get the fan situated, then go back and connect the
Then we'll
Holly
figure
back.
out so we'll get the fans going on, we'll do the trigger for the Holly.
Okay.
We'll get everything dialed in so they come on and off with the Holly Sniper, and then we'll go back and have it control the AC. So when you do that,
Okay.
the fans will come on and off. Other shops doing the tuning on the Sniper because the guys have issues with that.
Well, the thing is, everybody like, oh, it's plug and play. It's not just plug and play, man. You know,
If
I've
you
had
don't have a good base, it doesn't matter what you do. It won't self-tune.
I had a guy, he said when I first, before on another car, I had the fast system and he didn't know what he was doing.
Do you have fast?
I had it on a Cougar and I took it off because the guy couldn't ever get to run right. You know, so he bought something because he thought he could work with it, and to me it's like, man, please don't experiment with me.
Negative ground signal to trigger the relay.
Okay.
So the battery power is hooked up, and then the key is on here. So it.
But are you still going to use the wire going to the temperature sensor?
So no, the answer is no. Because
That's it.
Because we're utilizing the
Okay,
temperature
so we're
sensor
not
from
okay.
the computer.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we're not using that any longer.
That's correct.
So now we have to adjust the timing because the timing,
Do you hear how it's very hard to start?
yeah. That's why the car is so hard to start, because the timing's been messed with. So the idle air has also been messed with, so that number's way off.
All right, so take that off here because I'm going to use the timer mode. Yes. Hang on. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. I'll control the throttle if you just want to. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. Electric air bleed.
Okay.
So if you have a giant number on this, it means that it's open like a lot. That's why it's stalled. That's why it's stalled.
Is that why it was cutting off on me?
Well, yeah, if that's all the way open, you have too much air bleeding through.
Okay.
Also, the time it can cross off for over.
Well, yeah, that'll affect a million things too. Look how good your eye position is now.
What was it at before?
80.
80?
And that's on a scale between 0 and 100.
Wow. And now it's down to
So
10.
imagine, yeah, so this is your idle air position.
Wow.
So think of it as when you're on the carburetor, you have your foot on the gas a little bit
Yeah.
to open up the blades. That's what that is.
So now it's down to 7, or between 7 and 10, and it was at 80. Wow.
So there's it's an electric motor that goes like this, like a plunger. You'll never be able to open it. It can't move that much in that short a time.
Is that what opens the door?
Yeah, because it's essentially open. It'd be like it's open. So yeah, now we're going.
you're gonna use that to ground the battery?
Yeah. Battery's gonna go all the way back. Let's go across.
I like to put, I'll put it right there.
Yeah. So it's out of the way that way.
Yeah.
Grounding out the battery.
It should be.
This one will come out.
Here we come.
Yeah, man. This is the type of shit you deal with when you deal with effery. One mechanic pointing the finger at the other mechanic, but I'm recording everything, so when I take it back to the first guy who charged me for all that work and messed my car up, I got the proof. And if he doesn't want to roll right, I'm gonna blast his ass all over social media. Feeding it through the battery tray in the back. So now the battery can be properly grounded because the battery was getting feedback and the whole car was live even when the key wasn't on. So imagine that.
Yeah, you can bring it down.
So we come to find out there's also air in the system. After we grounded the battery and adjusted the timing, we're going to add some more coolant. So you see that video, right? Now, even with that video, when I took that to the shop today, they said that they never cut those wires from the Holley Sniper system going to the fan and the thermostat. They said they never cut. I mean, why would the guys who put that in there, why would they cut it? Why would they cut the wires? That's why I filmed everything, so I had visual, and that's one of the reasons I know they didn't want the guy to come to their shop, because they didn't want to have to talk to the guy directly to explain everything that they cut. But the guy kept denying, oh, I didn't do that, I didn't do that, I didn't do that, right? And then they had the female that worked there standing up to my left, like trying to intimidate and talk to me like I was a little kid. Totally disrespectful, almost on some racial shit. Oh, you're not gonna let me talk, you're talking over me, I'll take this to my lawyers. I said, take it to your lawyers, I got video of everything. Video of everything. You guys messed my car up. It was undrivable. You should have towed it here again. I said, I towed it here twice. Why am I going to tow it here a third time? What, 3 times? Come on. You couldn't get it right. So the time, as you see, the timing was off. The idle air was all messed up. We didn't touch none of that. I didn't know anything about that. Well, obviously, I had to pay this guy to get it drivable because you didn't know what you were doing. I've wired 100 cars, all this and that. So I'm showing him the videos. She's talking shit. I'm sitting there being cool, hands crossed, showing the bill. And you see, like, even on the starter, you know, they didn't even have that connected right. So that in itself, I mean, it's just unprofessional, man. There's no way they drove the car and really test drove it. They just had the car sitting there and just called me when they got ready to come pick it up because they already took my money. But anyways, afterwards, you know, the guy's like, okay, let me talk over with the other owner and I'll call you. So I leave, right? And then I come back. They call me to come back. And they're like, oh, you know, we got a payment for you. So I come back and they got the little shitty payment, right? And I'm so mad, man, you know, because like I'm just sick of people lying, and it's like having a spy camera and you catch somebody on camera and they're still lying. I just took the money, but I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna put them on blast, man. I'm gonna put them on blast because I'm sick of people treating people who are customers like they're stupid because they're not mechanics, but yet not wanting to accept blame for their actions. So, yeah, I would never take my car back to a claim collector car and transmission. You know, I paid these people, they ruined my car. My car was undrivable. It basically just was sitting in JML's parking lot until the guy Matt came back and was able to fix everything because these people had no solution. They weren't trying to get the car towed. They didn't have any answers. They didn't even know to even look at the timing that they had messed up. You know, oh, we didn't know if we didn't do you. Somebody did, man. You didn't tell me. My guys messed up the time. You messed the timing up. Hey, man, I know a lot of you guys deal with shady mechanics out there too, and so share your story. But this is my roller coaster out here, and so for now on, I'm just gonna stick with my guys, JML. I got the tuner guy, Matt, and you know, I'm not even gonna, you know, I'll just work with my small circle. I'm not trying to bring anybody else in and see if they can figure some shit out because most of these guys are full of shit. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Muscle up. Hey, man, my car passion, it is what it is. You guys know what I'm talking about. You feel my pain because I know a lot of you guys have went through the same thing with mechanics. But share your story. Share this video. Let me know what you think. Holler at me. Leave a comment. Go to BigHerc916.com and purchase you a bar of soap, one of the books I've written, a hat, a beanie, a t-shirt, tank top, or some detail spray for your car. I didn't start off as a bad kid. Officially, I only got one real spanking my entire life. My mom did the best a 14-year-old could do, raising me with love and instilling values that will last a lifetime. I was a straight A student and lived to make her happy. So how did I go astray? A horrible stepdad that stole my self-worth and invoked fear turned me into a person that I struggled to overcome. From skateboarding to selling drugs, gang banging in juvenile hall, I got caught the same way many young promising men get caught up. I struggled to find my identity, getting mixed up in shootouts, crime, and the adult entertainment industry. This roller coaster continued as I juggled college, hustling, and Hollywood, eventually catching a federal bank robbery case. I found redemption in prison while serving a 120-month federal sentence and came out a man on a mission. I became a social media influencer with over 500 million views on YouTube and a life coach mentoring people all over the world. This is my journey against all odds.